Hey ho, this is Karen. Courage to Change, March 5th. When I first started working the steps, the thought of having my character defects removed made me very nervous. I thought I would end up like a chunk of Swiss cheese full of holes. But I wanted to get better, and I was continually assured that the steps were the key to my recovery. So I went forward in spite of my fears. I had to take the risk and act on faith before I could receive the gifts my higher power held out for me. Nowhere in steps 4 through 7 do we ask God to add anything, but rather to take away the things we do not need. I found that every single defect that was removed had been hiding an asset. I didn't lose myself at all. Instead, as I let go of things I didn't need, I made room for my strengths, skills, and feelings to become more fully a part of my life. I take comfort in this because it reminds me that everything I need is already present. But I couldn't be sure until I worked the steps and found some relief for my shortcomings. I'm going to read it again. That was really good. They lost me for a minute with the Swiss cheese, but I get it. When I first started working the steps, the thought of having my character defects removed made me very nervous. I thought I would end up like a chunk of Swiss cheese full of holes. But I wanted to get better, and I was continually assured that the steps were the key to my recovery. So I went forward in spite of my fears. I had to take the risk and act on faith before I could receive the gifts my higher power held out for me. Nowhere in steps 4 through 7 do we ask God to add anything, but rather to take away the things we do not need. I found that every single defect that was removed had been hiding an asset. I didn't lose myself at all. Instead, as I let go of things I didn't need, I made room for my strengths, skills, and feelings to become more fully a part of my life. I take comfort in this because it reminds me that everything I need is already present, but I couldn't be sure until I worked the steps and found some relief from my shortcomings. Today's reminder: God knows exactly what I need and has already given it to me. My job is to keep it simple and ask for God's help in relieving me of the extra stuff, the shortcomings that keep me tied down. And then there's an old American proverb. It's written at the bottom. Before sunlight can shine through a window, the blinds must be raised. Well, that's a perfect reading, right? There's so many different directions I can take this reading with. One is, uh, you know, uh, she first talks about, or they first talk about, worrying that the character defects that were going to be removed were going to leave them with nothing. For me, I was afraid to let go of those character defects because a lot of them were tools, survival tools for me. You know, some of the things that I did, and I mean that because I did the steps in a certain way. I have these step sheets that are right out of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. The group I go to made them up, and I adapted them for codependency. And you really get to see like how you respond to life, these character defects. And a lot of mine, the way I responded was just sheer survival. Um, whatever that is for you. So letting them go was like, oh my God, oh my God. But I like how they said that, we're just asking God to take away, help us stop doing the way I describe 6 and 7. Step 6 and 7 is in step 6, I'm asking God to help me stop doing what I shouldn't do. And step 7 is help me do what I should be doing. Right. And those character defects that, they keep me blocked from the sunlight of the spirit. And the power of the steps are the first thing I cannot say, when I first got sober, I was like the 12 steps, blah, blah, blah. I went to Betty Ford and I don't know what happened at Betty Ford. I was detoxed and then I was in such a haze, but apparently I had done steps 1, 2, and 3 because all of a sudden we were on 4. And then 4, I got released during 4 and they told me to do 4 with a sponsor. So I wasn't really sure about one, two, and three, but I understand now. One, I admitted I needed help, right? My life was unmanageable. That's why I checked into a treatment center. Two, I could see that everybody at the treatment center was doing a lot better than me, right? So I thought I'll give this a try. And three, step three was, yeah, I'll do what you guys are doing and I'll follow through with the rest of the steps. I mean, that's how simple that was. So I guess I did one, two, and three just by checking in. I did one, two, and three with Al Anon when I went to my first meeting. I admitted that even though I quit drinking and using, my life was completely unmanageable, right? Because of my codependency. I mean, I just switched one addiction for another. I took the booze away and replaced the person or a couple or everybody, control and expectations and all of that. So I went to Al Anon and I, admitted I needed help. Step one. Step two, I saw everyone at Al Anon was living much better than me. They were sleeping at night and they weren't grinding their teeth out, right? And step three, I decided to give it a try. And I am so glad I did. Al Anon has changed my life. And I'm telling you, it's the steps. The steps allowed me to see myself for what I really was, for how I was really managing life. It really showed me that I was just reacting to life. I wasn't thoughtfully responding. I wasn't participating. I was just bam, 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 bam. And they let me take an honest look about what I was doing and then take responsibility for it, right? Change it. And I did that through a higher power. And so I like what it's saying here because once you take those things away, once you get rid of the resentment, the fear, the anger, the worry, the morbid reflection, right? The shame, the guilt. Once you get rid of all that, there's a whole bunch of you under there. Fabulous you. And you don't want to spend your life a short time on the planet living in the delusion of shame, guilt, you know what I mean? Stuff you can't control. It's all in your head, you know what I mean? You got to look at it, be honest, and then put on your big girl pants and move forward. And that's what I like about 12 steps programs. I don't want to just go somewhere and talk to a therapist for $150 an hour and leave with the same problems. I'm leaving with just an appointment for next week. I like the 12 steps because it's like hands on right now. I can do something, right? I've got tools right now. And I like that. So if you're looking for a tool, one of the first tools I have, if you look in the I'll link this in the show notes, or if you go to any of my social media pages, the bio has a link, and I've got a free guide in there. It's a morning and evening meditation, and it's what I do every morning and every night. And if you want to start doing something, if you say, what are these tools everybody's talking about? Well, here's a tool for you. It's free. You just got to get it. Just grab it. And if you don't want to print it, it's a digital download. You can open it up and screenshot it and save it to your photos or save it as your screensaver and start your day every morning with a meditation and end it with the meditation. It's like starting your day off with, okay, what am I doing here? And then ending my day with, okay, how did I do? What can I do better tomorrow? Right? And it breaks it all down into like 24-hour bite-sized pieces. And I like that, right? I always want to get to the end. I'm like a results person, but it's in the things we do daily that changes our lives, not the big events. It's the daily, you know, chunking off a little bit at a time. And before you know it, things have changed. It's like turning yourself completely around. That sounds impossible. But if you do it 1 degree at a time, in 365 days, you'll have turned yourself completely around. So, I like this idea. I like the reading a lot today. I hope to see you tomorrow. I love you all. Ta.